In December 1990, two Russian scientists in a secluded village above the Arctic Circle set out on an ambitious experiment aimed at enhancing human superperception, commonly known as ESP. They constructed a device designed to shield participants from electromagnetic interference while amplifying their biological energy. This apparatus was essentially a large tube made of rolled aluminum, containing a chair within. Once the device was completed, unusual occurrences began to unfold in the village. Disc-shaped lights began to hover around the laboratory, and orbs of energy would appear and vanish mysteriously. The northern lights shone with such intensity and clarity that they appeared to take on a physical form. Those who entered the lab experienced an inexplicable feeling of dread as they approached the device, making it difficult to find volunteers. Eventually, one brave individual agreed to sit in the chair, and as they did, a surge of energy erupted, leaving everyone in the lab stunned. His distorted reflection in the shiny, concave wall began to fade. Not quite the right term. It dawned on him that the wall was actually translucent. He could see through it. However, this aluminum chamber was situated in a small concrete lab in a remote Arctic village. Yet what lay beyond the wall was not the bleak surroundings. Instead, he witnessed a bright, sunny day. The sounds of birds chirping and children laughing filled the air. As he relaxed further, this vision, or experience, or whatever it was, became increasingly vivid. Then, almost effortlessly, he found himself passing through the chamber wall and into the scene. It felt as though he was truly there. It seemed real, and despite knowing the impossibility of it all, his instincts assured him he was present in that moment. Next, he found himself floating behind a child, perhaps 5 or 6 years old. As he drew nearer, he realized the boy was walking along a sidewalk in an unknown location. The man attempted to glance around to grasp his surroundings, but everything appeared blurred at the edges of his vision. Yet the boy remained sharply in focus. Suddenly, the boy stopped. The man floated closer, recognizing the boy's shoes, and an overwhelming wave of nostalgia washed over him. The boy's clothing felt familiar as well. When the boy turned around, the man was struck by a jolt of electricity racing down his spine. The device proved effective, perhaps even too effective. Not only did it enhance individuals' psychic abilities, but it also granted them the power to see any location in the world. Before long, they discovered they could also observe any moment in time. Indeed, these experiments validated a theory first introduced in 1950s, suggesting that our conventional understanding of time may be an illusion. Following the scientist's instructions, the man focused on the curved wall of the aluminum chamber, attempting to visualize the ancient symbols he had studied prior to entering. Concentration proved difficult. As he spent more time in the chamber, an intense wave of fear washed over him, a feeling that was both instinctual and primal. Every part of his being screamed at him to abandon the machine immediately and never return. Alongside this fear, he experienced dizziness and nausea. A deep, pervasive sense of sickness enveloped him. However, Dr. Trevimov and Dr. Kozyrev, the leading scientists of the experiment, reassured him that such sensations were common and that if he could endure them, he would ultimately be fine. Numerous volunteers were participating in the study across various locations in Russia, and they shared their experiences openly, noting that many were similar. After about an hour, the nausea began to subside. The dizziness transformed into a sensation akin to floating, and the initial overwhelming fear morphed into a profound sense of calm. The boy was, in fact, him at the age of 5. As the surroundings crystallized into focus, he recognized he was just a few blocks from his childhood home. The sounds around him sharpened. He could hear the distant hum of traffic from a busy intersection half a mile away, along with the joyful shouts of children playing in a nearby park. Turning, he spotted the park and familiar faces, all engaged in play. Unbeknownst to him, his small aluminum chamber had faded away, yet he felt an inexplicable connection to it, somewhere in the depths of his mind. After a few moments of reflecting on this experience, he noticed that the boy appeared to be looking at him, which seemed illogical. the day he had stepped into his 30 years prior. Suddenly, the boy spoke, asking, "Who are you?" In an instant, the man was jolted back to the present day, the portal closing and the vision abruptly ending. "That was terrifying, wasn't it?" he murmured. "Yes," came the reply. "Not bad at all." This experience, along with dozens of others, is meticulously documented in the case notes of the study. And that was just one of the more ordinary instances. When it comes to scientists, Nikolai Kozyrev might not be a household name, but in the early 20th century, he was a notable Russian physicist whose groundbreaking and contentious theories continue to spark debate today. Kozyrev made significant discoveries in astrophysics that were initially met with skepticism but were ultimately validated. In 1958, he reported volcanic activity on the Moon, a claim that was initially dismissed by the scientific community. Later on, the Apollo lunar missions confirmed that Kozyrev was indeed correct. Well, while the claim of volcanism was initially dismissed, it was later documented through unmanned missions to the Moon. Okay, but wasn't that confirmed when astronauts brought moon rocks back to Earth? Some still argue it's fake. They believe they filmed the moon landing on a soundstage in Burbank, California, and that the rocks are likely from a parking lot or some hippie hiking trail. Anyway, Kozyrev undertook extensive research on variable stars, those that change in brightness. He posited that stars emit torsion fields, a notion that stirred controversy. Torsion is a fundamental aspect of Kozyrev's work, and if his theories hold true, he could potentially have unraveled the very fabric of existence. In simple terms, torsion refers to the twisting of an object when torque is applied, much like wringing out a wet cloth. In the realm of theoretical physics, torsion signifies the twisting of spacetime itself. You're likely familiar with Einstein's theory of relativity, which redefines gravity not as a force, but as the warping or curving of space and time caused by mass and energy. This concept is often illustrated with the rubber sheet analogy. Picture a stretched rubber sheet where placing a bowling ball on it, representing a massive object like a planet or star, creates a dip or curve in the sheet. When you then drop marbles onto the sheet, which represents smaller masses, they naturally roll toward the bowling ball. That's the essence of general relativity. Now, the Einstein-Cartan theory takes this further by introducing a new element, torsion. In this framework, spacetime can not only curve, but also twist. To grasp torsion, imagine holding one end of a slinky. What walks downstairs alone or in pairs and makes a slinky sound? A spring. A marvelous thing. Everyone knows it's slinky. If you stretch a slinky, it doesn't merely bend, it also twists. Similarly, the Einstein-Cartan theory suggests that the fabric of spacetime doesn't just curve due to mass and energy, it can also twist. According to Einstein, this twisting arises from the spin of subatomic particles. However, Kozyrev proposed a different perspective, arguing that torsion isn't generated by particles, but rather by time itself. Stay with me here. While mainstream science posits that space is a vacuum, Kozyrev challenged that notion entirely. He posited that there exists an invisible medium permeating the universe, which he referred to as the ether. The concept of the ether has its roots in ancient philosophy, but was largely dismissed after 19th century experiments failed to detect it. However, just because it hasn't been observed doesn't necessarily mean it isn't present. Consider birds soaring through the air or fish swimming in water. These beings depend on mediums for their existence and movement. Moving on, what about light traveling from a distant star to your eye? What medium does it traverse? Mainstream science asserts that light moves through nothingness. Kozyrev found that notion untenable. He argued that the medium is the ether, but it isn't a static or passive entity. Rather, is dynamic and interacts with everything around it. Time, too, is not merely a passive dimension. According to Kozyrev, time possesses energy and structure. This time energy flows through and interacts with the ether. Just like a school of fish generates waves and ripples in water, time creates ripples or waves of torsion within the ether. Kozyrev believed that time is a tangible force that actively contributes to the universe's existence. In his view, time serves as the heartbeat of the cosmos, generating energy that influences matter in space. Since time has a physical structure and energy, it may possess varying densities. This means that time can move at different speeds. It can be accelerated, decelerated, and even flow in reverse. We often visualize time as a river. In our everyday lives, we find ourselves floating down this river, carried along by the current of time from the past, through the present, and into the future. However, just as a river shapes the landscape it travels through and nurtures the life surrounding it, time exerts a similar influence. Time energy affects everything, including gravity and electromagnetism. It also has a profound impact on physical matter, including our planet and all who inhabit it. Time energy plays a role in the rotation of galaxies and the orbits of planets. It fuels every star in the universe and dictates how they emit light. Furthermore, time energy influences Earth's weather patterns, the growth of plants, and even the genetic coding that determines your eye color. Now, returning to our river analogy. If you're in a raft on a river and simply let things be, you'll drift along with the current. However, with a bit of effort, you can paddle to move faster downstream. You can also bring the raft to a stop. Although it requires work, it's possible to navigate upstream against the current. Kozyrev argued that time operates in much the same manner. We perceive time only at our current point as we drift along, but the river behind us remains, even as we pass through it. It's still there, just as the river ahead exists, waiting for us to arrive. Time, like that river, is always present, encompassing the past, present, and future all at once. When the torsion generated by time energy ripples through the ether, that information is transmitted instantaneously to every point in the universe, encompassing past, present, and future. Kozyrev demonstrated this through his experiments. He conducted tests with pendulums and gyroscopes to detect torsion fields and time energy. Using a telescope, Kozyrev focused on a distant star. The light from that star indeed represents the past, as light from a star 10,000 light-years away takes 10,000 years to reach us. However, Kozyrev was able to detect torsion originating from that star, despite its distance from us. This torsion, too, was a remnant from the past. Next, he calculated the star's current position in time and detected torsion there as well. Remarkably, the readings were significantly higher than those from the previous test. This suggests that not only is torsion a real phenomenon, but it also travels faster than light, essentially instantaneously. Kozyrev took his research even further. He calculated the position of the star in the distant future and detected torsion there as well. From this, Kozyrev concluded that all time is simultaneous and infinite. He argued that past and future are mere metaphors. There is truly no past or future, only the present moment. Kozyrev also believed in a connection between time and the human brain, suggesting that this interaction is what gives rise to concepts like intuition and foresight. In his view, human consciousness taps into time energy. Moreover, he proposed that human consciousness, through thoughts and feelings, can influence time, affecting the physical world around us. Since time is a form of physical energy that can be sped up or slowed down, it can also be concentrated and redirected. Then, Kozyrev unveiled a groundbreaking theory that sent shockwaves through the scientific community. He claimed it was possible to create a mirror that could bend anything, including time itself. This meant that time travel could be achieved using a mirror, and he even constructed a machine to demonstrate this concept. According to Nikolai Kozyrev, time is energy, much like light, which is a form of electromagnetic energy that can be redirected with mirrors. Specifically, he utilized concave mirrors, which have historically been employed to concentrate light. The ancient Greeks and Romans were already aware of the properties of concave mirrors and their ability to focus energy. The ancient Greeks and Romans utilized polished bronze or silver concave mirrors to focus sunlight and create fire for various purposes. These mirrors, often referred to as burning mirrors, were instrumental in lighting ceremonial torches and igniting sacrificial fires. In some accounts, these mirrors were even employed as weapons, reflecting sunlight onto enemy ships and setting them ablaze. During the medieval and Renaissance periods, scientists and alchemists used concave mirrors to explore optics and the properties of light. Isaac Newton famously employed concave mirrors in his telescopes to concentrate light. Today, concave mirrors are ubiquitous, found in optical equipment such as projectors, headlights, and searchlights, where they focus and reflect light. They're also used in satellite dishes to collect and concentrate radio waves for communication. Kozyrev asserted that a mirror could bend nearly anything, including microwaves, lasers, ultraviolet rays, and even cosmic particles. He proposed that time energy could be focused in the same manner. To demonstrate this, Kozyrev invented and patented a device designed to concentrate this energy. His device consisted of a thin sheet of metal shaped into a spiral, following geometric principles based on Fibonacci numbers, similar to many naturally occurring spirals. Notably, a spiral represents the shape resulting from torsion. Through his experiments, Kozyrev discovered that time energy was particularly responsive to aluminum, making it the metal of choice for his groundbreaking device. According to Kozyrev, his early prototype had the ability to bend time at a microscopic level. He claimed that through this device, he could glimpse 10 seconds into the future. It was at this juncture that the Soviet government classified his research as a state secret. His next step was to construct a larger version, a capsule with its interior walls entirely lined with his special mirror. Inside this capsule, time would supposedly flow faster, allowing anyone within to see or even visit the future. Interestingly, other historical figures may have intuitively arrived at similar concepts. Nostradamus, for instance, had his metal egg, which was essentially a wraparound concave mirror. He made his predictions by peering into a dark bowl of water, which he referred to as a magic mirror, a bowl of water that functions as a concave mirror. Additionally, in one of his notebooks, Leonardo da Vinci sketched what he dubbed the mirror chamber, an octagonal room with each of its 8 walls composed of mirrors. By the time Kozyrev began developing this new prototype, the Soviet government was closely monitoring his research. It also caught the attention of the CIA, indicating that the implications of his work extended beyond the borders of the USSR. Indeed, that's exactly what happened. On February 27, 1983, just as Nikolai Kozyrev was preparing to test his new machine, he suddenly and mysteriously passed away. It's hard to believe, isn't it? The secretive research into psychic phenomena conducted by both American and Soviet intelligence agencies is becoming less secretive over time. One of the most notable American programs was Project Stargate, which delved into various psychic abilities with a strong focus on remote viewing, the ability to visualize a distant target using only the mind. The results of Project Stargate were mixed, but there were some reported successes that caught attention. Meanwhile, the Soviet Union was also deeply involved in psychic espionage, investing significant resources in parapsychology and psychic phenomena. According to declassified CIA documents, the Soviets appear to have had more success in their endeavors. The project we previously discussed, led by Dr. Trevimov and Dr. Kaznichev, was one of these successful undertakings. It commenced in December 1990 at the Institute of Experimental Medicine within the Siberian branch of the Academy of Sciences. The necessary equipment was assembled at a facility in Dixon, the northernmost settlement in Asia. Central to their research is a device known as the Kozyrev mirror, named after Kozyrev himself and based on his research and patents. This mirror is a spiral-shaped metal structure roughly the size of a small closet, ingeniously designed to capture and concentrate psychic energy within the core of the spiral. Once the Kozyrev mirror was built, the plan was for the occupant, referred to as a psychonaut, to embark on their psychic journey. However, as soon as the mirror was activated, a series of strange occurrences began to unfold in the facility and throughout the town. All of these events are meticulously documented in the book Cosmic Consciousness of Humanity by Drs. Kaznichev and Trevimov. This intriguing and accessible book includes interviews with test subjects, transcripts of recordings, and illustrations depicting everything that transpired during the study. On December 24, 1990, the researchers who entered the room reported experiencing an intense emotional pressure surrounding the device. Despite feeling this, they continued their discussions, trying to act as if it didn't affect them. However, they soon found it difficult to remain in the vicinity of the mirrors. The fear they encountered was overwhelming, more akin to a wild, inexplicable terror that seemed tangible. None of the researchers had ever felt anything like it before. Some described this instinctual dread as something almost palpable, as if it could be touched. One researcher noted,
"I had an unpleasant feeling. I felt cold and dizzy. My hands were trembling and my head grew heavy. Even the air of the room seemed different. The fear was so strong, it felt like a substance. It came from the Kozyrev space and filled up the whole room."
At the start of the experiment, none of the researchers wanted to approach the mirror. The moment they opened the door, a wave of fear washed over them. As they approached the mirrors, it felt like stepping into cold water, sending shivers up their spines. The fear intensified, and one researcher noted,
"Once we opened the door, we got scared. It was like coming into cold water. The shiver came up as we got closer to the mirrors. I felt my head grow heavy. As I approached, the fear grew so strong that I was close to running away."
Suddenly, powerful bursts of energy manifested above the device, which the researchers referred to as plasmoids. They described these phenomena as resembling ball lightning. Outside the building, strange objects began appearing in the sky, witnessed not only by the lab staff, but also by local townspeople. One observer recalled,
"Coming to the lab at 8:30 a.m., I saw a red glimmering circle above the building. It was there for a minute and then gone.
At 5:10, I saw a UFO flying from the north. The object had the form of an ellipse radiating red-white light. There were beams of light coming off the object as if it was searching for something. The UFO remained in sight for about 4 minutes, then the light went off and it was gone."
Suddenly I felt a kind of hypnosis. The feeling didn't last long. I saw a white glimmering object which looked like Saturn against the dark sky.
Over several months, 7 different UFOs were reported throughout the area. Eventually, some participants in the study mustered the courage to enter the Kozyrev mirror, and that's when events took a truly bizarre turn. The first experiment involved an operator sitting in a Kozyrev mirror at the lab in Dixon, while another person sat in a mirror located in Novosibirsk, 1,400 miles away. The operator was instructed to concentrate on a specific symbol and transmit that symbol to the receiver in Novosibirsk. The results were surprising. On days when the Earth's magnetosphere was calm, the success rate for this symbol transfer was alarmingly low, between 0 and 10%. However, when the magnetosphere was active, such as during solar storms, the receiver could successfully detect the image sent by the operator between 30% and 45% of the time. This suggested that human consciousness was somehow linked to the Earth's magnetic field. This finding aligned perfectly with Nikolai Kozyrev's theory that sunspots and solar activity emit torsion waves, which have extensive effects on various processes on Earth, including weather patterns and human consciousness. In light of these results, another experiment was conducted. This time, 2 operators in separate Kozyrev mirrors, situated in different cities, focused on transmitting images into the Earth's magnetosphere. Simultaneously, 5,000 participants across 12 countries attempted to tune into this energy and visualize the symbols being sent. When the magnetosphere was active, the success rate soared to an astonishing 95%. This outcome not only astonished the scientists conducting the experiment, but also captured the attention of the CIA, which had been monitoring the developments closely. Interestingly, it was found that children, specifically female children from spiritual and shamanic backgrounds, exhibited exceptional abilities in this area. During one test, instead of focusing on an image, the mirror operator simply thought of a number. The children were able to receive this number, look up the corresponding image, and draw what they perceived. For example, for symbol number 63, this is what they drew, and for symbol number 32, this was the image they produced. Over the following months, volunteers gradually adapted to spending longer periods inside the Kozyrev mirror. Some even managed to remain in the device for 7 hours or more. One participant reflected, inside the Kozyrev space.
Being inside Kozyrev's space, at first I felt my body shaking to and fro. I felt pressure from all around my head grew heavy. Later this feeling went and I felt so light that it was like I was coming out of myself.
The experiences within the mirror were profound, pushing the boundaries of human perception and consciousness. The experiments continued for months, far surpassing all expectations. Participants who experienced Kozyrev's space reported that the effects lingered long after leaving the mirrors. They found themselves thinking more quickly, scoring higher on IQ tests, experiencing enhanced memory capacity, and demonstrating increased creativity. Remarkably, some individuals even reported complete cures from illnesses they had been suffering from. Doctors Travimov and Kaznichev believed that this technology represented a significant breakthrough that could elevate human consciousness if managed with care and responsibility. They were acutely aware of the potential dangers of using Kozyrev mirrors to unlock superhuman abilities. The CIA shared similar concerns regarding the implications of such technology. Moreover, there was an unsettling issue that emerged. When people entered Kozyrev's space, they realized they were not alone. The longer individuals spent in this altered state, the more they recognized shared experiences among them. Approximately 75% of participants reported seeing UFOs, 70% claimed to have witnessed extraterrestrial structures, and 68% felt the presence of intelligent entities within Kozyrev space. These entities began to be referred to as the observers. One participant described,
I felt a kind of discomfort which then turned into fear. I felt I had something cold right on my neck. I had a feeling somebody was watching, so I was afraid to open my eyes.
The observers seemed capable of physically interacting with those in Kozyrev space. One individual recounted,
I closed my eyes. I wanted to sleep, but all of a sudden I felt somebody touching my hand. My body shivered with fear.
Descriptions of the observers were consistently humanoid, yet distinctly non-human. Participants noted that they appeared very bright, almost as if made of light, and no one could discern any specific features. The presence of these observers added an eerie dimension to the already profound experiences reported during the experiments.
Being inside Kozyrev's space, at first I felt nothing at all. In a few minutes, I saw a human shape. It was white all over. In 30 seconds, it was gone.
Between the mirrors, I felt my head jerk, and something appeared. I was asked, who's that man with you? I explained that he was a scientist. Then I asked them, who are you? No answer came. I asked them, can you be seen? And I saw human shapes.
I saw shining lights. I heard a voice asking me, what do you want? I answered, I want to meet you. I only remember one word of the answer, League.
Most participants reported that communicating with the observers was unsettling.
I saw a device with lights and an egg-shaped object. This ran in my mind. Come up. I answered, I don't want to. I have fear of you. Then it was gone.
I saw a face. It wasn't that of a human. I got scared.
I was dizzy. I felt my head rolling around slowly. There were flashes of light. I asked who was there. The answer was, I have no face. I am nothing and everything. Then I saw the eyes. The eyes were not very kind.
Some participants experienced even more than just sightings of UFOs. They claimed to see them from the inside.
I saw a light on which I could manage to get to a flying craft. It was a black hemisphere. I saw a few doors. I opened one door and found the beings looked human, but of smaller size. I asked them what they were doing, and they answered they kept watching us. I asked them where they were from. They said they came from a big star.
My body got relaxed and light. As soon as I closed my eyes, I saw an object flying above. Then I was in a room I hadn't seen before. A man was standing in the center of the room. His face wasn't seen. He began to speak slowly. Your planet is in danger. It is suffering. You have been in the mirrors too much. It's bad. Then he said, there may be a disaster. I asked him when. No answer came.
It remains uncertain whether this observer truly foresaw a future disaster or was merely suggesting that we are heading toward one. However, around 40% of the participants reported experiencing time travel. Most of these individuals recounted their lives as if watching a film, while others claimed to have interacted with and participated in their past experiences. Many also reported observing or being part of significant historical events, such as a woman who recalled advising Genghis Khan, and others who felt their consciousness shifted to different eras, including the Middle Ages and the Roman Empire. Nikolai Kozyrev theorized that time is a form of energy capable of transmitting information between the physical realm and beyond. He suggested that this energy is especially potent during states of transformation, like when water freezes, melts, or turns to steam, as these changes effectively encode time energy. The research site in Dixon was selected for several reasons, one being the presence of permafrost. Researchers believe that when Arctic water freezes, it traps information from that time, which is released when the ice melts. They theorized that some individuals might tap into this time energy, granting them access to various moments in time. All of this research has been documented and is accessible, along with a Russian documentary that covers the topic well. Doctors Kozyrev and Travimov continued their work with Kozyrev mirrors for years and achieved significant success. Despite backing from the Soviet and Russian governments, mainstream scientific journals refused to publish their findings. In the West, the research on Kozyrev mirrors has been largely ignored, except by the CIA, which has shown interest in the subject. Recently, the CIA released documents indicating their close monitoring of this research, and there are allegations that they have conducted their own studies regarding Kozyrev mirrors. A final document from the CIA database discusses Kozyrev mirrors and their potential to unlock human psychic abilities and awaken consciousness. However, this document remains classified despite numerous Freedom of Information requests. The research conducted in Siberia during the 1990s using Kozyrev mirrors is fascinating. But is it credible? Debunking this story is challenging. On one hand, mainstream science dismisses it, while on the other, major intelligence agencies take it seriously. Doctors Kozyrev and Travimov have published their findings and given numerous interviews, asserting the truth of their claims, and there seems to be no reason for them to lie. Their initial research was funded by the Soviet government, making dishonesty unwise. If their technology truly works, why isn't it more widely used? You can purchase Kozyrev mirrors or blueprints to create your own, and the process is thoroughly documented, with some patents available. Yet, it remains a fringe technology. Believers in Kozyrev mirrors hinges on acceptance of Nikolai Kozyrev's theories about time, energy, and the ether. Mainstream science largely rejects the notion of the ether. But if Kozyrev had referred to it as dark matter or quantum foam, his ideas might have been more readily accepted. Interestingly, Kozyrev had previously proposed ideas that mainstream science later validated. What if he's correct about this as well? Using a mirror to reflect time sounds like science fiction, but recent experiments at the Advanced Science Research Center in New York demonstrated that electromagnetic waves could be sent through a metamaterial, with the wave entering and exiting in reverse, a phenomenon known as time reflection. This was previously theoretical, but now it validates Kozyrev's assertions. Kozyrev also proposed that time physically influences everything in the universe. Dr. Travimov has applied Kozyrev's theories and mirrors to predict earthquakes, achieving an accuracy rate much higher than the average of 8% in geology. In 2018, Travimov's predictions reached 61% accuracy. He claims that Kozyrev mirrors could be utilized to forecast severe weather, volcanic eruptions, and solar storms, as well as for studies of our solar system and beyond, potentially aiding in the search for extraterrestrial life. They could even slow human aging and cure diseases. Despite this immense potential, mainstream science remains skeptical of this technology. Travimov and Kozyrev believe that such important advancements should be accessible to everyone, rather than controlled by a select few. They express concern about government or corporate misuse of Kozyrev technology, a valid worry indeed. However, I believe the potential benefits outweigh the risks. Kozyrev's theory, whether true or not, offers a profound message. We are not confined to fate or determinism, but possess the capacity to shape our own realities through our choices. It suggests that we are interconnected with each other and the universe via subtle energy fields. Wouldn't you want access to that information? I think we should all download the blueprints, gather some aluminum sheets, and see what we can uncover, because we face two possibilities. Either we democratize this technology for collective experimentation and knowledge exchange, or it remains classified and controlled by the CIA. Thank you for spending time with us today. This is Future Destiny. If you enjoyed this discussion or glean any